Alright, so I did make a video before about Season 2.0, but I wasn't really that happy with the video and I was actually not even gonna upload it. But I decided to do that and I saw a lot of feedback from you guys. So this video is a bit more scripted video in terms of me having some key points and then I just freely talk about those. Hopefully this video will explain Season 2.0, seasonal characters, and go through like how it works and what new info have we actually gotten from the Division 2 developers, and also going through your YouTube comments from that video. And then I go through my personal pros and cons with this Season 2.0. Believe it or not, there are some pros and of course a lot of cons. And then lastly, go through how to possibly fix this for everyone with an actual solution that I think is doable for the current developer team. So with that said, let's get straight into it. So before I go a bit deeper into Season 2.0 and the seasonal characters, let me just quickly explain what is Season 2.0 and how does the seasonal character work. Of course, we haven't gotten that much information, but I am pretty aware of what seasonal characters are, and with the information we have, I can at least explain it with that in mind. So with Season 2.0 that starts in Season 2 in this year 6, you will be able to create a seasonal character. This means that you create a new character and you start from level 1 and you have to level up to 40. And this new character does not connect to your normal character stash or anything. So it's like you created a new character on a whole new account. Eventually though, when the season ends, your character will turn into a normal character and the items and gear and SHD and stuff like that will transfer into your main character. The leveling will be faster than the normal game, so I'm expecting around 10 hours to reach level 40. And it does sound like leveling from level 1 to 40 will be customized for each season, if I understand it correctly. So you can probably level up to 40 however you want, but if you follow the way that they want you to level with their path, you will probably level faster. So to me, this sounds like they will change the level 1 to 40 experience completely. So maybe you will have to do a mission first, and then you maybe have to do a bounty. And after that, a control point, and then maybe you have to go into summit, clear a few floors, and then you do a stronghold, and then you have to go to, I don't know, countdown. Probably not because it's an 8-man activity, but you get the point, right? They will probably use all the content in the game and make a different way to reach 40, which actually could be a pretty fresh experience. And something else we have to keep in mind is that Season 2.0 will have strong modifiers that will change how you play the game. So this to me sounds like a long seasonal global event, but hopefully they are a bit more impactful than the current global events we have in Div 2. I'm not the biggest fan of most of them, so I assume this modifier will have a bigger impact. They also said to be able to do any seasonal content, you do need to play on a seasonal character. So that includes season pass, man hunt, new items that comes in the season, and such. It will, however, be possible to play the climax man hunt mission on your main in the end of the season during the intermission part before the next season start. I think they said this was around 2 weeks or something like that. So that will be possible. And actually do like the master difficulty as well. So now you kind of know a little bit how the seasonal character works and what to expect, I guess. So let's take a look at some questions that the Division 2 Twitter have answered, and then later go into my comment section and see what you guys have typed, and then after that talk about the cons and the pros and how to possibly fix Seasonal 2.0 and seasonal characters so it works for everyone, because I think that is a possibility. So Diego is asking, are you going to address the concern about season characters in Season 2? And they say, we are currently in the process of preparing extended communication to provide a more detailed explanation of the new seasonal journey. So I'm expecting early next week, probably Monday, Tuesday, for them to have an update about what this is and what is actually going on. And I will definitely keep you guys posted on that. So yeah, just make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for that. And then we have Marcos here asking, what will our mains actually be good for? Because the more I learn about this, the more it seems like a completely different game than the one we all have grown to love. Is that the intent? Depending on where we are on the seasonal timeline, there are going to be exclusions and overlaps. So I guess they're kind of replying, yes, your main is not going to be that useful. Because I guess the only thing it will be useful for is the intermission time or period. Seasonal characters, I quit 4,000 hours in the franchise to start over again. Nope. Not buying Division 3, and I really like to refund on my premium credits that I'm not. And they respond with Master difficulty will be available for both seasonal and non-seasonal level 40 characters. You still need to maintain your non-seasonal character to make sure you are equipped to clear the Master difficulty climax mission. So that sounds to me that the Master difficulty is meant for your main with all the SHD, expertise, and min-maxing. So you're not supposed to do that one on your seasonal character. Something I would like to talk about though is that the seasonal Master difficulty climax mission on Manhunt, as far as I've seen before, it's tuned for 4-man. I would love to see that being tuned for solo. So I really wonder how that is gonna work for solo players. Because I know a lot of you guys prefer to play solo. And I do like to play group, but I would prefer, and I do prefer playing these type of missions solo. So yeah. Hopefully that will be playable as a solo player, so it's not tuned for 4-man, which I think will be the case. But that might be another video where we could talk about that. Then we have Rob. I'm really hoping that there is a much more in-depth live stream before Seasons 2.0, because there are a lot of questions on the way that is going to work. And then they say absolutely. And I think this is one of the biggest issue with this, or one of the issues, is that they released this, first of all, they gave us the information months and months ahead. Extremely dumb, in my opinion, to do that. They should have given us the information a day before or a week before, and then we actually get to play it and try it. Of course, a lot of people don't like seasonal characters, so it wouldn't really change much at all, actually. But the fact that we, 1, have to wait months to play it, and 2, we barely got any information about it. Because I am for seasonal characters in all these type of games, right? Like, I actually do like that. And I understand that I might be a minority here. But even though I like that, the seasons actually need to have content to do. Which, if we look at Division 2 right now, the current season, that is not really enough for me. So, like, that's where I'm kind of want to know if there will be enough content for it to be worth to do a seasonal character. But we don't really know too much as of right now. Are you adding more agent slots, or will we need to delete 1 of 4 to play the seasons? So yes, they are adding an extra slot for seasonal characters. And talking about solo players, Nick says it's not excited about the new characters for every season idea. It doesn't seem like it'd be fun for solo players or who just want to relax and experience the story. Then they say Season 2.0 are designed with new and solo players in mind to allow for a much faster progression to level 40 and all endgame activities. And I think what Nick is saying here is what most people feel like. A lot of players do like to play Division 2 for the story. I don't really care too much about the story, and I guess that's where my opinion might be different to yours. Because I like to play it for the challenge, for the loot shooter, and for looting, right? The story, I'm not that invested, except with Aaron Keener though. And yeah, basically what it's saying is that, yeah, there's a lot of solo players that just like to come home from work, maybe put on Division 2 and just chill and do the same farm that we've done forever and follow the story and do this, yeah, season stuff, because it doesn't require that much time. So a lot of people don't have too much time. They want to relax and keep up with the story. Seasonal characters changes that, because now we have to level 1 to 40. And then you have to gear up a bit, and then you can keep following up on the story, right? And on top of that, give up on your main. But we're gonna get into the pros and cons soon, so yeah. New seasonal characters only for seasons. The hundreds of hours grinding for weapons, gear, skills, materials, and to level up my expertise was for nothing. And they say Master difficulty will be available for both seasonal and non-seasonal level 40 characters. You still need to maintain your non-seasonal character to make sure you're equipped to clear Master difficulty climax mission. So that is what your main is only good for, basically. Master difficulty climax mission. So that is kind of what they had said on Twitter. And yeah, we will get some update next week, I'm pretty sure. And I will make sure to actually cover that. But let's see what you guys actually commented on my video that I made earlier. And the most upvoted comment is from Tim, which said, I'm sick of running around the same map and doing the same missions over and over. I'm not sick of my character. And I think here is actually where most of us guys are. Like, we want new content and we don't want to do the same thing over and over again. And I think we've been doing that a lot with the current season system. And that's why myself personally, like, I'm up for anything new. So that's why I think seasonal characters to me would be enjoyable. But I do understand other people are more attached to their character than what I am. But I think that comes down to also, like, Division 2 was on live support, right, with no updates for quite some time. And then they did get some resources, probably minimal resources, right? And that's why we have had such a lackluster in terms of content. Now we are getting a DLC later next year, right, with Brooklyn. But yeah, I mean, I said it before, right? And I would have rather seen them stop supporting Division 2 and just, like, put the effort into Div 3 and make sure that that's great. Because getting drop fed like this little amount of content, like, people will get sick of it and people will leave the game being not happy. I think it's better to go out with a bang and then just wait for the next one. Obviously, they could keep going and get enough resources to do a little thing, and that's what they've been doing, right? And that's why we're doing the same map and the same missions over and over again. And here we have the season character thing completely invalidates the expertise system, and that is 100% correct. I will get into this later, but the game is not made for seasonal characters, and I think that's an issue. Like, the expertise thing is definitely not working well with seasonal characters. So I mean, there's a lot of things that you have grinded for that you won't see on your seasonal characters. Here we have Rick as well, kind of saying the same thing. It feels like we keep repeating things over and over again, which is the story of Div 2. We have my F8. Seasonal characters in Diablo make sense, but making a new character in a game like Division is delusional. I kind of agree, but I want to see how it works. I said it before, and I am for seasonal characters. I do like that stuff. I said before that I would want to see it in Division, but it also does. But I also said that it doesn't make any sense for Division because of how the game works. It's like doing it in World of Warcraft. It wouldn't make sense. Here we have a Swift Viper. Says he doesn't like to refarm all of his builds every season and doing the same 4 or 5 missions in rotation. And he talks about that his builds are maxed. But I think here you gotta look at the seasonal characters a bit different. Your main is gonna be the min-max character, and your seasonal character is gonna test new builds with the new seasonal gear that you get. So you wouldn't really put too much time into it. You would just, yeah, gear up with the new stuff. Maybe if you don't want to have that, just farm 1 striker build in countdown and you're fine. Like, you won't actually min-max that character. But that's the thing, seasonal characters, it's a bit more like, maybe like Descent and Survival. And if we look at Descent, there's not many people liking that, right? But that's when you start from scratch. You play a session a few hours and that's it. And those modes have never been popular. I mean, sure, Survival was a bit popular when it released, but most people did not play it after a few months because the rewards were shit. Because people cared more about the rewards for their main character than the enjoyment of Survival, right? And that just comes to tell you that the main is extremely important in a game like this, which makes a lot of sense. Got Schnaz. I don't like the idea of adding seasonal characters because the game was not designed around that idea from the beginning. Exactly. They should have waited until Div 3 to introduce seasonal characters. I may still check out the new content. And yeah, I think that... And that is also one point I want to talk about later about Division 3. A lot of the comments and stuff I went through now is actually stuff I want to talk about next when it comes to cons and pros for this seasonal 2.0 or seasonal characters. So let's get into that, starting with the cons, right? So main character basically becomes useless except for doing the Manhunt Master difficulty, right? And like, I like that we have Climax mission with Master difficulty now, but I think a lot of people actually not gonna care about that difficulty, especially if it's only made for 4-man. So let's say it's only made for 4-man and you can't solo it, and they try to do it type like a bit like a mini incursion or something like that, right? So you have to be 4-man. I would love that shit, but I know a lot of people wouldn't because maybe you're solo and maybe you don't like having hard difficulty in the game, right? So if you're not doing the master difficult on the climax mission, what is your main character actually gonna be useful for? And the answers right now seems to be nothing. Of course, if you like to play Dark Zone or Conflict PvP, which I know is also the minority of you guys, right, that actually plays PvP, but that's where I could see it. Or if you just wanna, yeah, like do any mission or raids or any old stuff, you could do that on your main character. But other than that, it's gonna be completely useless. And that includes like all the time you put into expertise, SHD level, min-maxing, farming all the builds, like, right? It's all out of the window because you can't use that for the new content. And that sounds really stupid to me. And yeah, I mean, one more con is that the game, as we went through earlier in the comments, it's not made for a seasonal character system, right? It's, as I said before, you can take World of Warcraft and look at that game. I think a lot of you guys probably have played that, or any other MMORPG games where you have one character and you invest into that character, right? Sure, you can have extra tunes, but you have one main, right? In games like that, seasonal systems doesn't really work because you have invested so much into one character with gear and all that, and then you just let it go and go seasonal character. Does not really work because the game have to be built with that in mind. But here is where I think Division 2 comes in. So Massive have released Avatar not too long ago, and now they are pretty close at releasing their new Star Wars game, which means that their announced game called The Division 3 will probably get all the resources from the Massive's team, right? So they will start putting everything into that. And I think with that said, they are using Division 2 to do a lot of testing. Like, if they could pull off a good seasonal character system that would make sense for a loot shooter like this, that could be big. So I think they're just using Division 2 to test that. And to me, it's a con, right? But I think that's something positive. I think that they should use Division 2 to do a lot of testing. Like, test everything you can in Division 2, so Division 3 is the best freaking Division game and everything we wanted. I think that is worth it. And I would love them to see it, like, test a new Gear 3.0 system, because the current one, it's not good enough for Division 3. So, I mean, I would gladly suffer a little bit with Div 2 to make sure that Division 3 is better. And then, yeah, we have Brooklyn DLC coming in next year, which I'm not sure if it's paid or if it's not paid. But they are trying a lot to get in new players, which is good. And that's something you can see with the seasonal system as well. Like, it's really good for new players. And it's really good for people that play cross-play or play different platforms. Maybe you have a PC and an Xbox. Now you can swap between it, right? And it's an even playing field for everybody coming into the game as a new player or a new platform. And then we have the Brooklyn DLC, right? Which means it seems like they're making it easier for people to probably play Brooklyn. We don't really know much about that DLC, right? Except we're probably going to continue to go against Keener in Brooklyn. But what if that one is actually a paid DLC? Which I have no clue if it is, but what if it is? And that could be a way for them to make it easier for new players or for returning players to get back into the game, so they could actually pay for the Brooklyn DLC. Would make kind of sense, right? But yeah, as I said earlier before, right, the game is not made for seasonal characters in mind, especially some of the new additions like expertise, the min-maxing of gear. We have the library with talents and all the stats, SHD watch, right? So it doesn't really make sense. If they make in Division 3, and especially Division 3 being this early, they could be testing stuff to see what works, right? As I said earlier. And something else that's a really big con, of course, is probably the biggest reason, and that is time. Wasting time redoing the same stuff that we've done for years. And also, why do that on a new character when we could have this seasonal stuff on our main character, right? Like, that is the biggest question. Because I think a lot of people that are playing Division 2, especially if we compare to a game like Diablo, it's a little different type of player when it comes to the player base, I would think, with what I've seen. And a lot of people play Division 2 pretty casually and just following the story. So they play the season, each season, right? They do the story and the man hunt. And it doesn't require that many hours. Now they're asking for a lot more hours even if you just want to follow the story. And I think that's where a lot of people have an issue, because they want to follow the story without having to spend 10, 20, 30 hours extra just to get to level 40, right? And like get a build to do it. If we keep going here to some of the pros, I think I kind of went into them already while going through the cons. But yeah, crossplay is not a thing in Division, right? But this one will make it so you can literally just swap platform each season and you will be on an even play field with other players. For example, Season 2 comes out. I could play on PS4 the same day instead of PC, and I would be on an even play field, right? I'm not gonna do that though, but I'm just saying it's a possibility. And something else, right? It's good for Division 3. They can do testing and see what works. Something that I did not cover is that I think this is actually refreshing and good for PvP. Seasonal Dark Zone PvP and seasonal PvP, Conflict for example, will have different metas in the beginning. Like, I could see this be extremely fun if they put some time into changing how the game works for at least seasonal characters. But imagine if Dark Zone had similar loot to Countdown, so it was actually pretty damn good in the seasonal character, right? People would go into Dark Zone, and since you have a new character, you have to farm gear. And then you would have to fight for gear in Dark Zone. Okay, I know a lot of you guys don't like PvP and don't like Dark Zone. I don't think Division 2 PvP have ever been good. I don't think the game is... I don't think the base of the game works well for PvP. But during Warlodge of New York, Dark Zone had good loot. And it was extremely fun to be in there, even though the PvP is not that good. So if they could change a bit so PvP would be a little bit better, nerfing some skills and make sure that you actually shoot your gun and the loot would be good there, then I think that would actually be really fun, at least for myself. And then something else I was talking about in the beginning of the video is the leveling 1 to 40, if they will do it a different way and make some unique ways to hit 40, right? That could be refreshing, and especially for people that do like the leveling experience, which I actually do like myself. And I'm thinking about creating a hardcore character just to do level 1 to 40, because it can be pretty enjoyable, especially actually getting upgrades and all that stuff. Because that's one of the issues for me personally in this game. I like to find upgrades. I don't really find upgrades. Everything I see on the floor the last 4 years almost, except if I look for something specific, is all shit. Getting an exotic drop, who cares, dude? It's just an exotic component, right? Playing on a seasonal character or a hardcore character, like a new character, the stuff actually matters, right? So that's where I personally see it as a pro. And I know a lot of you guys don't agree, but that's just what I enjoy to play. And yeah, with that, it gives you a reason to experience the leveling 1 to 40. And it makes missions and other game modes feel relevant again, right? Like, if you want to go ham and maybe PvP or get like a good build in the seasonal character, right? You go and do the raid to get Regulus or Eagle Bearer. Maybe they have leaderboards or something to actually go for. Then, yeah, it would make the raid incursions and stuff actually relevant again. Because sadly, to me, they are not at this point in the game. Which makes sense because we're on year 6. But I think that covers some of the pros and cons that I was thinking about. So how do you actually fix the Season 2.0 and the seasonal characters? Because obviously a lot of you guys and the community don't like it. There's a few people that do like it, I guess, that could see it be enjoyable. But I think the way to do it is to make sure that the main character is still relevant. And the reason they make the main kind of obsolete, I think, is because they're scared that people ain't gonna play the seasonal characters, right? Like, that's what, like, that's why they're forcing you super hard to actually do it. But I don't think that's the right way to do it. In an ideal world, seasonal characters would have cool, unique cosmetics as a reward for doing something. Maybe when you clear the climax mission the first time on the seasonal character, you will get a cool, unique cosmetics. And I'm talking about the type of cosmetics that they charge $20 for. Of course, this will never happen in this point at the game, because they need to make all the little money they can to keep the game up. So they will not put good cosmetics for the seasonal characters. But I think that would be ideal. Like cool, unique cosmetics, commendation, patches, and that type of stuff. Like stuff that you can somewhat brag about. So I think that's how you should do it. But now we're gonna be realistic. they will not give us like any super cool hunter or rogue or $20 worth of cosmetic for that, because they will keep that in the store to keep the game running. So keep in mind with this that I just said, I think the main character should be able to do the season. Like everything should work the same. The only thing that should be different in the seasonal character and the main character is what I was thinking about before, and that is to make the loot on the seasonal character be better. The resources, the materials, the SHD leveling, if they have expertise, exotic mats, seasonal item drops, seasonal exotic drops, season pass experience, all of that should have maybe double or triple the values compared to your main. And I think that is like one of the easier ways to actually solve this. I'm pretty sure like a lot of you guys are gonna be pissed if it's like double the loot and stuff on the seasonal characters, but there gotta be some incentive, otherwise people won't do it. And I think that's a way better way to do it than how it is right now. And then you say, oh, but then it will take longer for me on my main. No, because it will be exactly the same as it is right now. The only thing that happens is that the seasonal character is just sped up, just as they said with the leveling 1 to 40. Everything on the seasonal character is cracked and tuned up, because I think that would at least be enough for myself personally to put the time into seasonal characters. Then again, when I think about this, do I really care about the SHD, season pass mats, exotic mats and all that? I don't really care about that, right? So it's not really that big incentive for a lot of veteran players. But at least that way, you could still have your main and just play like normally. But if you want to have the seasonal global event modifier, then of course you have to play the seasonal character, right? And if you want to have the cracked up loot. But everything else would just work like normal. I was thinking if the gear that drops should be bound to the seasonal character, but that might be a bit too much, but that would make kind of sense though. I think maybe that's something they could do as well. But if you want to follow the story and lore, you could do that. Or they could have like, I don't know, a day or a week early access, a few days early access for seasonal characters. To maybe the seasonal characters can do the mission, I don't know, 1 to 5 days earlier than you can on your main or something like that. But I don't think that's needed. I think just crack up the rewards and that should be a decent fix for everyone. I see this video become really long. Thought it would maybe not even be 15 minutes, but I made the least script this one, but a lot of free talking, of course. So please let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this. And yeah, it's okay to not have the same opinion as me, and I respect your opinion, and hopefully you guys respect mine. And yeah, just let me know in the comment section below, and make sure you subscribe if you want to stay up to date, because I will follow the Division 2 news pretty hard now, and I have some Division 2 videos, build videos and stuff on the way as well. So thank you guys for watching, and I see you guys either on twitch.tv/widdz live streaming or in the next YouTube video.